From an undercover police officer saving a man trapped in a gas pump fire, to prisoners forcing open the door of their cells to help a guard having a heart attack, check out the moving moments caught on camera today. In OJ, a small quiet town just north of Los Angeles, California, a little boy with autism has taken a liking to the garbage collectors who come every Monday morning to pick up the trash from the homes in his neighborhood. Thus, the child named Daniel waited every Monday for the passage of these trucks with an unfailing patience to make signs and smiles to the garbage collectors. On a Monday like any other, the 5-year-old boy went out into the alley to admire the mechanical ballet of the shredder in action. But that day, Daniel was not at the end of his surprises. When the garbage collectors stopped in front of the boy's home, they didn't just pick up the trash as usual. To his surprise, young Daniel saw a member of the crew named Manuel Sanchez get off the truck and approach him with a plastic bag in his hand, in which was a gift intended for him. Filmed by Daniel's parents, this very touching scene shows the child open the bag before realizing its content. This very touching scene shows the child opening the bag before realizing that it contained a miniature garbage truck. Obviously, this gesture pleases the little boy as much as his parents, who are very moved. And they are not the only one. Countless people on social networks have congratulated Manuel Sanchez for his generous action. Even his employer said Harrison Industries is very proud of Manuel Sanchez. He underestimated the impact his kindness would have on tens of thousands of people across the country and around the world. After all, this garbage man's gesture was truly touching. On June 3, 2014, a police officer showed great courage. Dressed in civilian clothes, the man named John Vesio went to a gas station in the city of White Plains, New York, when a serious incident occurred. Indeed, while he was putting gasoline in his car, a motorist came to sink into the gas pump at full speed, almost running him over at the same time. Immediately, both cars and the gas pump caught fire. The police officer first ran for cover. Then he suddenly realized that the driver of the vehicle that caused the accident was still trapped in his car. In an excess of courage, Johnny Visio, at the risk of his life, to go back and save the driver, even though the car was in danger of exploding at any moment. Finally, more fear than harm, since the officer managed to rescue him a few seconds before the explosion. This is without a doubt a heroic act that commands respect, especially when you know that the officer was not on duty. But then, why did the man who caused the accident run straight into the gas pump, you might ask? Well, according to investigators, he lost control of his car, suffering a diabetic attack. In any case, he can consider himself very lucky. At Foothill High School in Palo Cedro, California, Ashley Adamietz, a young cheerleader, came to cheer on the soccer team as they prepared to play a game against the Spanish Springs team on September 2, 2016. This seemingly innocuous moment will forever scar the young girl, and for good reason. A month earlier, Ashley Adamietz was diagnosed with leukemia by doctors. So, as a sign of support, each player of the team laid a rose at the foot of the young girl. And not just any rose. It was, in fact, an orange rose, a color symbolizing the fight against leukemia. At this moment, the young woman, who obviously did not expect this beautiful gesture, could not hold back her tears. Overwhelmed by such a moment of solidarity, she wrote the next day on her Twitter account, "I don't know where I would have been without the support of my family, my friends, and especially my school. I can't thank both teams enough for making my first game a day to remember and for making me cry with joy," she said. Since then, her friends have gone so far as to open a page receiving donations to help her family pay for medical expenses. For sure, Ashley Adamietz can count on the support of her friends to overcome this difficult ordeal. Here is now a very generous little girl named Ella Scott. She was having a leisurely lunch with her father at a restaurant in Monterey, California, when she spotted a homeless man sitting alone on a bench on the other side of the window. Since she wasn't very hungry, Ella decided to help him. Filmed by her father, the young girl, a little intimidated, then took her plate and cutlery to bring them to the homeless man. Surprised by the girl's approach, the latter thanked her warmly after accepting the meal. Back at the restaurant, Ella watched the man eat with a smile on her face. As for her father, Eddie Scott, he was very proud, to say the least. He was quick to publish this video sequence on social networks. He wrote, "My little Ella learned an important lesson today. Help those less fortunate than you." As expected, this video made the rounds on the web, exceeding 30 million views and 20,000 shares just 1 week after its publication. And it must be said that in the comments, internet users are anonymous. This girl has given a beautiful lesson in life. During the lap of honor of the New Zealand All Blacks after their world triumph over Australia in the final, on October 31, 2015, a special event came to the edge of the field. as the All Blacks have just received the William Webb Ellis Trophy for the first time in their history. Their quarterback, Sonny Bill Williams, made a very touching gesture to Charles Lyons, a young 7-year-old New Zealand fan. The latter had decided to burst onto the Twickenham pitch to celebrate the victory with his heroes. Unfortunately, before the young fan could approach them, he was brutally intercepted by security services. Sonny Bill Williams witnessed the scene, picked the boy up, and comforted him. The story could have ended there, but as the former Toulon player was walking with him back to the stands, he decided to offer him his World Champion's gold medal, a surprising gesture that will still remain engraved for a lifetime in the memory of this young supporter, and especially in that of All Blacks coaches. As Sonny Bill Williams confided with humor, the coach told me afterwards that the medal was pure gold, but I'm glad he got it because I know he's going to really appreciate it. And when he's older, he can tell his kids the story. It's probably better than keeping it hanging on a wall. This rugby player is truly generous, and it is not World Rugby that will claim the contrary, since the organization decided to give him a new gold medal. While most prisoners who break into a cell do so to escape, this group of inmates at Weatherford Prison in Texas had a very different motivation. While handcuffed and locked in a screened room, 8 inmates suddenly noticed the man guarding them in their cell, sitting in a chair on the other side of the bars, suddenly lost consciousness, suffering a heart attack. So they first tried to scream so that the penitentiary staff could come to his aid, but in vain. These funny heroes then chose to break down the door of their cell and approach the guard. Unfortunately, they very quickly noticed that he had no pulse. Determined to save his life, they shouted again to get his colleagues to come, this time with success. These prisoners took the risk that the guards would think that they were trying to escape from prison, especially since the guard who was watching them was inanimate and had a weapon and keys. Nevertheless, the prisoners did not visibly try to take advantage of the situation to escape. On the contrary, afterwards, the guards, once alerted, noticed their colleagues' condition and called emergency services. Since then, the guard who had a heart attack was saved, and we must admit that the exemplary gesture of the inmates is a contributing factor. Moreover, the video sequence of their intervention has made the rounds of social networks and forced the admiration of internet users. In a video sequence that has gone viral, a young boy sitting in the back of his parents' car spotted a homeless child of his age shyly approaching to talk to him. While driving, the boy immediately rolled down his window, and he didn't stop there. Seeing the child alone in the street, he decided to offer him several toys, including miniature cars. Very happy, the child took the opportunity to play with his new gadgets. However, a few seconds later, he tried to give them back, but the child in the car categorically refused to take them back. A scene that, without a doubt, is very moving, especially since, to thank him for his generosity, the young boy decided to offer him, in turn, some sweets that they enjoyed together for a while. Afterwards, the two children simply parted with a big smile. It was a moment that, unsurprisingly, moved many people around the world. On July 30, 2016, 150 millimeters of rain fell in the space of 2 hours in Ellicott, Maryland, USA. This resulted in impressive and devastating flooding in just a few minutes. The swirling waters even turned the streets into torrents and washed away cars and storefronts as residents watched in horror. And despite the authorities' weather warning, many people found themselves trapped in their vehicles. This was the case of this young woman. As her car was about to be washed away, several men risked their lives to help her. They formed a human chain to get her out, but not without difficulty. The scene of this beautiful gesture of solidarity was then published on Facebook by the companion of one of the improvised rescuers. Very quickly, this video sequence was seen several million times by internet users, very touched by the feat of these residents. Hollywood actor Will Smith shared in 2019 on his Instagram account a video of unique tenderness. The scene shows a young boy playing basketball with his little sister. Unfortunately, at one point the little girl not only missed her basket, but also took the ball to her face, crying her eyes out. The little girl could nevertheless count on her brother to console her, and he rushed over to hug and kiss her. Then he gave her the ball so that she could try to score again. To do this, he lifted her with all his strength while she threw the ball into the basket. And it worked, to the greatest happiness of the young girl. This one was even entitled to the infinite tenderness of her big brother, who continued to fill her with kisses. Thus, this moment has naturally touched the American actor, who wrote by sharing the video, "Nothing is worth this brotherly love." And it seems that he is not the only one to think so, as evidenced by many internet users being very moved by this scene. This Argentinian policewoman made the tour of the web in record time, and it is not wrong. When she was on duty in a children's hospital in Berisso, near Buenos Aires, this policewoman, called Celeste Ayala, saw a baby separated from its mother and starving. The poor baby had been crying for hours in the hallway. What made the young woman decide to act? How did she do it? Well, she voluntarily offered herself to the hospital staff to breastfeed the baby. Immortalized by one of her colleagues, this gesture moved the whole of Argentina. So much so that the policewoman became a national hero. She was even received by the Minister of Security of the province of Buenos Aires, Cristian Retardo, who decided to raise her to the rank of sergeant, a well-deserved promotion. Now it's your turn to tell us in the comments which of these video sequences touched you the most. And if you liked this video, don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all notifications, and not miss another of our next videos.